Welcome back to Benchmark. As we mentioned in our lead story, tourist numbers are steadily climbing and the government's target of 750,000 visitors for this year will likely to be reached in early December. But what of the 2.5 million visitor target for 2016? Will the $50 levy on electronic visas keep potential holidaymakers away from our sunny shores? Here to give us his views on these issues is the Chief Executive Officer of Walkers Tours, Michael Elias. Welcome to Benchmark, Michael, and thank you for coming into our studios. Now, we seem to have reached our target or going to reach our target arrivals much faster than anticipated, 750,000 as the government predicted, probably by early December. Now, LMD at the beginning of the year projected 900,000 arrivals, and we seem to be moving more towards that. Within the first 9 months, we've seen 600,000 arrivals. So when you look at our tourism arrivals and the general industry, are we right in saying that our target arrivals this year seem to have been met long before anticipated?
Absolutely. I think we'll definitely meet it very easily. If you look at the first, till September, the first 9 months, we are already at about 600,000 people. And historically, the last few years, the last few months are always very high. Take last year, for example, if I remember correct, it was about 210,000 people in the last 3 months. So without any increases, if you just get the 210,000 people, we are going to be above the target as it is. And if you consider the 35% growth that we are averaging right now, we'll be close to the LMD figure of 900 actually.
Now, neighboring India seems to be a happy hunting ground for destination Sri Lanka, but are we really doing enough to woo the Indians here? Are we customizing our products so that the Indians would like to come here and would make it an option of a holiday?
With 120,000 people produced so far, it is definitely by far #1 market, and it has its own special factors. And we can't forget that countries like India and China, they're mega destinations, mega countries, mega generators, and the volume that they can, the potential they have to produce is huge. We're certainly not doing enough because there's a two-pronged factor with India. You have to look at our product itself. We have to take our shopping to another level. We have our entertainment must be on another plane. And even things like gaming, theme parks for the kids. Look at what countries like Singapore has done. You know, India is such a huge market for Singapore, and they have created so much. You have Sentosa, you have things like Jurong Bird Park in Singapore. Come on, we have so much here, and we're not doing enough for sure. We have to. The second prong, I would think, is the marketing. Taking Singapore is another fantastic example because I was reading their budget, and they have a $360 million budget for tourism. Now, we don't have 1% of that.
Like you mentioned, the marketing of destination Sri Lanka, it seems to be convoluted. We've had numerous taglines, but nothing seems to have sat and made a mark. Tell me, are we doing enough to market destination Sri Lanka? What more needs to be done and who needs to drive it?
The destination marketing perspective definitely has to be driven by the tourist authority. Together with, for sure, private sector, even the foreign tour operators who are in this, who are all stakeholders in our business. And for sure, campaigns like what we have done are good, but it's still marginal in comparison to what other people do. What Thailand has been doing with Amazing Thailand and Surprising Singapore, and Malaysia, Truly Asia have brought so much of activity. People have, everybody talks about those destinations, and that's what we need to get done.
Now, another fifth or so of tourist arrivals come from our traditional markets of Britain and Germany. What potential is there, Michael, for these markets actually for us to attract higher tourism numbers, given that we are talking long haul?
They certainly have potential. There's huge potential, I would say. Let's face it, Germany and the UK are two of the largest generating countries in the world. And a good example is Thailand. Thailand has gone through a lot of political issues, natural disasters, and still these countries put in something like well, it's more than 1 million for a year. So if Thailand can take 1 million clients from these two destinations, surely we have the same potential to do that. We might not have the infrastructure yet, but there are numbers. Then another thing, there's something we tend to forget when sometimes in the tourism circles we talk a lot about India and China and not about some of these major markets which have been our bread and butter throughout the years. But one thing that is forgotten is that these are strong, mature markets that have are very strongly segmented. They have covered every niche. And the interesting fact is, if you look at what sustains our luxury boutique hotels today, the British market is major. It's the British market. Who comes to the Ayurvedic products? The Germans. And if you look at, now we have a very successful brand, Nature Odyssey, which focuses exclusively on this, our nature and adventure niche value, trekking, rafting, bird watching. 95% of my clients for that brand are from UK and Germany. So there is potential for sure.
What about Maldives tourism? Have they eroded some of the tourists who may come in here?
I think it's not really correct. The Maldives is exclusively a beach destination, and our beaches will not be able to compare with the Maldives. Let's face it, that's absolute fact. And another important thing is that while the European markets have declined to the Maldives, they've been very successful in attracting the Chinese market. And today China is their #1 generator. So I don't think Maldives, yes, it has a certain competitive potential for against Sri Lanka, because it's good beach. And the guy who comes to the beach here might want to experience the Maldives. But Sri Lanka has a lot more to add than the Maldives only. We have our culture, natural beauty, and those things are a more complete and more authentic destination than the Maldives, for sure.
Now, while we speak of our traditional markets of Europe, and we are looking at India and a little bit of China at the moment, there are a lot of markets out there, the Middle East, Russia, and even Japan, for instance. Now, we need to do something that we have products and services that would match the aspirations of those customers. Are we doing enough to attract them in and make them come to this holiday destination?
Not so much in Japan, but definitely the Middle East and Eastern Europe has been identified by the tourism promotional authorities. And the strategy has been go for the strong new markets, India, the Middle East, protect the base with the UK, Germany, and we need to do something in China, in Japan for sure. Japan was a huge market for us in the past, and it has dwindled. The market is strong to the Maldives. I understand it's also strong to Malaysia now, but we are not having that amount of Japanese clients, and we need to do some promotion for sure in that area.
Time now for a commercial break. On the other side, we have more insights from Michael Elias. Stay tuned.